Ruben Nistelrooy. Gordon Mood took charge of his first game as Leicester gaffer, picked up a 3-1 win. It means West Ham have conceded 8 goals in their last 2 games following their 5-2 defeat at home to Arsenal on Saturday. They're 14th in the Premier League, 6 points above the relegation zone. Their gaffer, Lopetegui, spoke to the media after last night's game. He was asked whether he's concerned about his job.
The only worry that I have is to recover tomorrow the players, to look forward the next challenge and to prepare the next matches in the best way and to be able to win the next matches. This is the only worry that I have. I think that with this attitude, I am sure that we are going to have more wins and that's why. But explain this now is not easy for me. But the only thing that I am worried is to work tomorrow to stand up the players and to be ready for the next challenge.
You could argue, I'm guessing West Ham fans don't want to hear this, but you could argue they did play well last night. They had so many chances, but they just couldn't finish. A little bit like, ironically, when Man United played them and had loads of chances.
And that's where sometimes, and I get it, West Ham fans with the manager hasn't been good enough. But that's where I've got a little bit of sympathy for them because, I mean, they had 31 total shots. 31! Leicester had 8. So you're thinking, okay, shots on target, they had 10. I mean, 10 in 31 is not great. Leicester had 6. I mean, they dominated accurate passes, 507, West Ham. Leicester, 287. So it's not that they played badly.
No.
They just didn't take their chances. Even their XG, expected goals, 3.1. Leicester's was 1.6. So West Ham should have had...
I don't know what that means, but the XG, you've got to stop quoting XG.
No,
the majority of people don't have a clue what you're talking about.
They do, trust me.
They don't.
We know.
No, you can't explain it if I asked you to explain it.
I can, kind of. But listen, West Ham, they're in I think the problem with West Ham is you don't know what you're going to get because... I thought going out to St James's Park, where I saw Arsenal lose at St James's Park, I thought, they're not winning that. That's a tough... They go out there and win 2-0. And you go, okay. But then they get absolutely smashed. And there's no disrespect to Arsenal. And then last night, that was quite a damning one because Leicester are down there fighting for their lives, but they've got that new manager bounce.
Yeah.
But I almost feel with Leicester, I think Lopetegui reminds me a little bit of David Moyes in the style of play. So I think to myself, why would the West Ham hierarchy... They heard what the fans... David Moyes, what he did for West Ham was incredible, right? Fantastic. Brought them a trophy, first one in I don't know how long, a long time, European trophy. And they had some good, strong, stable finishes, top 8s, top 7s, right? When they came away from David Moyes, I expected them to hire a manager that was forward-thinking, free-flowing, would get the best out of like the Kudus, Paquetá, Bowen, these boys. And the football was quite kind of similar.
Very similar.
So if you're a West Ham fan, you're almost thinking, well... What's the upside to Lopetegui over David Moyes?
Okay, but let me play. You are right, 100% what you said. Just looking at the way they set up as if they want to play possession-based football. Mm-hmm. They had 61% of the possession last night, and I already alluded to the fact that they do have a lot of chances. They just can't finish them. Where you've got that much of the ball and you're getting all these chances, would you say 31 shots?
Yeah.
Is that the manager's fault? It's not going in the back of the net?
And that's where, as much as I poked fun at Ten Hag, that West Ham game, he's sitting on the side of the side of the pitch and he's going... What can I do? Diego Dallo goes through and misses an open goal. And it's like, well, what can he do? But, I mean, Lopetegui, I don't think he's helped himself in some of the selections that he's made. I think the football's not helping.
They play a very high line. All 3 goals last night were too high.
Do you know what makes no sense? They have got no pace at the back.
No, none.
And that got exposed badly. Remember Chelsea?
Yeah. Oh, well, that was down the middle as well. That was awful.
I mean, the first one came from wide. Jackson pretty much running the whole way across. But, I think they've got big problems and... I don't think they're not in a relegation battle. Like, I'm not saying no team is too good to go down because we've had that before. And West Ham are a prime example when they went down with Joe Cole, Jermaine Defoe, and all them lot, right?
Carrick and all that lot.
But when you look at the fixtures, I mean, the next game is absolutely massive. They've got Wolves at home, right? That's massive. Then they've got Bournemouth away. I'm not saying that Bournemouth is an easy game, but you look at it and you go, okay.
You want to beat teams around you if you're going to stay up.
Exactly. Brighton at home. But Brighton are a good side, but we saw Southampton cause them problems. So, their next 4 are Wolves, Bournemouth, Brighton, Southampton, and then Liverpool at home. But the next 4...
Pick up points.
You've got to pick up points.
Okay. Dan is a West Ham fan. Hello, Dan.
Hello.
Hi, Dan. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
Good,
was
man.
at the game last night, was at the game Saturday against Arsenal. And the biggest thing I can say is in the last 2 games, 180 minutes of football, me and my son, we've not seen any of West Ham's goals because by the 35th minute of the game on Saturday, we were on our way back and we actually got home before the game had finished. And last night we left, I think they put up 9 minutes of injury time and we were like game over once they scored. So we left, didn't see Fulcrum's goal. There's just such a big discord at the minute between the fans and the club. And I feel a bit sorry for Lopetegui in the sense that fans were singing like getting sacked in the morning, our own fans, that is. I didn't join in because I do feel a bit sorry for him in the sense that if you wanted a pragmatist, keep David Moyes, because I wasn't one that wanted him out, but I can understand why people did. But if you wanted a pragmatist, if you wanted someone to sit in old school, then keep the one who's got credit in the bank, because this guy, if he plays that way and he doesn't get results, then the fans are going to turn on him. If it was Moyes, it's like when you flag off someone in your family, you can do it, but people from the outside can't. He was our manager, I mean, I felt there was still a little bit of a connection. Whereas this guy's got no credit in the bank. He's been thrown under the bus because although he spent money, you hear all sorts of stories about who's bought what player. It all just sounds like an ego thing at West Ham at the minute, where who can trump the other one as to who buys what player. And
do you know what, Dan? Do you know what, Dan? It's surprising that, I mean, Dan said he left early, but 4-0. Because didn't the same thing happen? Was it last year as well, where there was that big kind of a helicopter camera and it showed all the fans streaming out against Arsenal, ironically, as well. But again, I feel for Lopetegui a little bit, but I think he hit the nail on the head there. Like, why would you go for a manager that plays similar type of football rather than going for someone who's completely different, fresh, like a Potter, fresh ideas, new? Maybe even the players are almost like, the players are probably a little bit baffled, thinking, well, hold on, we're playing the exact same way as we did when David Moyes was here, so I don't understand.
It's very much a case of be careful what you wish for as a West Ham fan, isn't it?
Correct.
Good call, thanks, Dan. Joe's up next, also a hammer, but not a happy one. Hello, Joe.
Hi, guys, you all right?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing all right. I think, obviously, a bit frustrated with West Ham at the moment. I think the most frustrating thing is because I do think Lopetegui will go, and I think he probably deserves to go in a sense. But I do feel like, as Darren was saying, both of you were saying, last night, I do think we were on top for pretty much all the game, and I do feel like we were very unlucky. I thought we played some good football and had so many chances. I think it would be I actually want them to give him another game. I don't want to sack him yet, because I think we were showing good signs last night, like we did against Newcastle, and obviously got the win in that. What do you guys think about that? Because obviously, on a whole, we haven't been great this season. But I think, if we got that win last night, I think they would have put it down as a really, really good win with how we played and how many chances we had.
Well, they've had some good wins this season, West Ham. I mean, they're not one of the clubs like Ipswich have won one game, but I mean, they've beaten Palace, they beat your lot, of course, they beat Ipswich 4-1, they beat that Newcastle result came out of nowhere, because I didn't see that coming.
No,
so
me neither.
It shows that it's in there, but I just think if they now sack Lopetegui and employ somebody else, you'd almost feel like, what a waste of time that was. Why don't you just opt for that person in the first place?
Percentage terms, how much is down to the manager, how much is the players?
I would say a little bit. I'd say probably percentage manager with the players that he's got. I'd say probably 60-40 manager, 40% players.
Okay.
Like, listen, players are not to blame as well. You could still level performance.
Yeah. Keep them coming in 03717 223 Next up is Rich, the West Ham fan. Hi, Rich.
Hello, you alright?
I'm good, man. How are you today?
Not too bad.
Coping. That's a way of putting it. What would you like to say, Rich?
Two things. Firstly, with regards to the careful what you wish for stuff, that's nonsense, because David Moyes won 4 of his 19 games last calendar year, 2024 that we're in. So he had to go regardless. It doesn't matter who came in. We were finished with him. They should have shook hands with him in Prague and said, thank you for winning this trophy and finishing 15th or 16th, but we're going to move on now. That would have been perfect. The problem comes from above at West Ham with David Sullivan, and this club is run like a circus, because you've got, in the summer, they got rid of James Ward-Prowse, who covered loads of ground in midfield and offered various things with set pieces, and replaced him with Rodriguez, who's completely different and runs through treacle. Up front, you've got Mikel Antonio, who's been the focal point for the team for 5 or 6 years now, is 35 years old. Try and replace him like for like. So they flirted with John Duran for a month and a half, wouldn't pay the extra 5 million, and then completely switched to Nicholas Füllkrug, who's a completely different footballer to John Duran. So there's just no plan from top to bottom. It's just, this player's available, we'll buy him, or this manager's on a cheap, let's get him in, see if he works. And you've got 4 or 5 different people with ideas, all fighting and butting heads with one another. So it's just going to keep going wrong while David Sullivan's making those decisions.
Okay, I mean, listen, I get that rich point, but obviously while he was there, they still won the Conference League, so there was some kind of success. They had a couple of 7th place finishes, and but it's what's next, because surely now that they've looked at this and how unsuccessful it's been with Lopetegui, who do they go for now? Well,
everyone's going to say Potter.
Well, they're going to have to go completely the other way now.
Yeah. I mean, there aren't too many managers spring to mind.
No.
I wonder if they're looking at the Ruud van Nistelrooy scenario, thinking
Thomas Frank. But then what? But then the argument is
what Brentford to go to West Ham.
It's a bigger club, correct?
Without a doubt. But
look what they are.
It looks like Brentford's in a much more stable position.
So that's the argument. That's the problem you've got.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.